This week's episode of Resilience Unscripted is sponsored by PK Law Group.
This week's episode of Resilience Unscripted is brought to you by an obstruction of art.
Welcome back to episode 19 with Angelica Bryant. Thank you for traveling over an hour to come see me and the cat in the basement.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks.
Not our cat. We don't know where it came from. Thank you. I appreciate it. So tell us a little about you.
Yeah, so, my story is very sad, but there's so much redemption in it. I grew up, I had parents that are both alcoholics and drug addicts. I was put into foster care as a baby. So about 6 months old, I was taken out of the home because my parents were out partying and put into foster care. And I, in foster care, experienced, a lot of abuse, sexual, emotional, physical. And when I was about 5 years old, I was being put up for adoption, and my father was able to, get custody of us, work with DCF. And so I went from that foster home and I went to go live with him into a shelter. And, my dad was in recovery at the time. And, I love my father, and I'm so grateful for his ability to fight through all of that. But it was a very toxic home, very abusive as well, and experienced more abuse throughout, living with him. And, from the earliest ages, of 9, when I look back to try to figure out what I remember feeling, I just never felt good enough. I never felt worthy. I never felt pretty enough or smart enough. But at the deep core of all of that was I just didn't want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And so for many years, my first psych hospital was when I was 12. So from 12 to 27 years old, I spent my life in institutions, psychiatric hospitals, multiple suicide attempts, all the medications, and the very first time I picked up a substance, I finally felt like everything was going to be okay. And for many years it worked, and it felt good, and it made everything better. And then it stopped working, right? My life was just chaos. But through this time, at 21, I had my first child. I stayed clean through that pregnancy. And then when I had her, I had an emergency C-section. So then, the Percocets came back into play, and my addiction took off all over again. And then, I was able to be her mom for a lot of it. In and out, me and the dad, we both struggled with addiction, grandparents too. And, so, I ended up leaving him. I've thought to myself, I can't get sober in this relationship, so I'm going to leave and try to get sober. And I continued to try to get sober. It didn't happen. I met another guy, and that's when I started using it IV, right? Started shooting it, and I wanted to have another baby. I thought a baby was going to save me. And so I got pregnant on purpose, and I had another baby, and I still didn't have my oldest, right? And so DCF got involved, and I had nowhere to take her. I was sober, I was on all the medications, right? So I was legally sober, and I had nowhere to take her. And so, DCF, I walked out of that hospital with no baby. And, then I was, I tried to stay clean for a little while, got an opportunity to go to Stepping Stone in Ball River. And I was there with my daughter. She was really colicky, addicted, was still withdrawing from the Subutex that I was on. And one night I was holding her and I kept falling asleep. And I literally dropped her. And I was like, oh my God, this is so awful. And, all the rules and regulations and meetings and baby and no sleep. And I was on all types of medication too, definitely over-medicated.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. And I called DCF and I said, if this is what being a mother is, I can't do it and she deserves more. And so they came and I packed up everything that she had and I gave my baby to them and I gave them her stuff and I basically was on a suicide mission for the next couple of years. And I kept trying to get clean and programs and in and out and in and out. And I was at a foster care review, and I was in a big room with social workers and notepads and papers and the mom that had my daughter. So my daughter was put into like 12 different homes in 7 days because she was so colicky and no one could handle her. So she was finally put into a home that was like specialized for children that were a little like higher needs. And so this woman, I went to these visits with my daughter and at the GCF office, and she always had clean clothes, clean diaper, no diaper rashes, was always really happy. And I knew she was in a good home, right? And I'm sitting at this foster care review, and it's supposed to be like going from reunification to adoption. And I looked at this woman, and she had a gold cross on her neck, and she was so beautiful. And I thought, wow, I wish that was my mom. And I knew at that moment that I had to give my baby to her. And so in a room full of social workers, I just said that I'm sorry that I failed and that I couldn't give her what she needs and that I'm just going to sign her over. And so I went through that process. I went to the courtroom, signed over her. I remember that day so vividly because they like said her first and last name and is a ward of the state. And then they put the thing down, and I just walked out of there like in tears, screaming, crying, like couldn't handle it. Again, on another suicide mission, right? So my addiction wasn't really about like getting high. It was just like I didn't want to be here anymore. The one thing that I wanted in this life was to be a good mom because I never had one, and I swore I would never be like my mom, and here I am exactly just like her, right? Hated myself. And so 6 months later, I got an opportunity to go to the Plymouth House in Plymouth, New Hampshire in 2015, and I got sober. And I went through the 12 steps, and my whole life changed, and I ended up getting pregnant. And so I was in the Plymouth House. I went through steps 1 through 7, went to their sober living, and then my dad was in Oklahoma and he was dying, and so at 90 days sober, I got on a bus to Oklahoma. I went to be with him. He died in my arms.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I stayed sober, and just because of the 12 steps, right, I was able to be there. I was able to like be there when it mattered most.
You navigated it differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Like basically went in there with the idea of like I need to go and be of service. Like I can't keep taking from everyone, and so that's what I was able to do. And it was beautiful and sad and amazing.
It was bittersweet.
Yeah, it was. And I was able to put the funeral on. I wrote the obituary. I stood up and said some things. I was the only one that was able to speak. And all glory to God for that, because like I couldn't have done this stuff on my own. And that's what the 12 steps did, was like put my hand in God's hand and give me the strength to be able to like overcome these things, right? So 90 days sober, my dad dies. I end up coming back home, and I was waiting on an apartment at a low-income housing for years, and I finally got on the list. And so I didn't go back to sober living. I went there, and I met another guy, and he reached out to me on Facebook and was like, I'm just looking for a new church family, whatever. So like that's how I met him. And I got pregnant right away with my son, and this was the first baby that I got to take home, and that, GCF wasn't involved, and it was just like so amazing. I was so grateful, and I stayed clean for 5 years. I ended up having another baby with him, a little girl, and even when I was pregnant with the little girl, I struggled a lot with the pregnancy because of the little girl that I gave up for adoption, right? So like I was struggling a lot with the pregnancy. I could start to feel the emotions, like even before.
It was a reminder.
Yeah, and even before, like I thought the postpartum, because after I had really bad postpartum, but I could feel it coming, So I got postpartum depression when I had her. She didn't sleep for 5 weeks. She screamed, she cried. It was awful. And it was during the pandemic. So, like, doctors were, like, nowhere to be found, right? I was alone in the room when I had her. There was, like, really no help. They sent me home with prescription Percocet because I had another 4th C-section, right? I kind of was, like, telling them I didn't want it, but they, like, pushed it.
And they do. It seems like every time someone doesn't want something, they're like, no, take it. It's good for you.
Yeah.
And they're just like, pill pushers.
Yeah. The fact is, like, that they know my history. I went in there saying, like, I can't have this, and, like, the nurses kept coming in saying, like, do you want it? And, like, after, like, so many times, I was like...
They did it to my dad.
Yeah.
Same thing when he had his open heart surgery. He kept telling them at the hospital, no, like, I'm clean. I've been clean for a really, really, really long time. I can't do this. And they're like, no, we just feel that it would help you. And he's like, I don't care. I don't want it. Get away from me. Yeah. And it took the family to, like, intervene and be like, no, he's
Right.
not taking it. He doesn't want it. Stop offering it to him.
Right.
That they had pain intervention come in and they were like, well, what are we going to give you? And he's like, Tylenol.
Yeah.
That's what I want is
Yeah.
Tylenol. I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
Yeah.
So I get
Ibuprofen's
it.
better.
I get it.
Yeah.
I really do because I don't know if they get a kickback. I don't know if that's
Definitely. Probably.
I've been watching the Painkiller
Yeah.
show on
Yeah.
Netflix, and I get with the OxyContin deals that used to go on. There was the pharmaceutical reps that would go out, and if you do this much, we'll give you a book of coupons for this and that, and it was like a transaction. It was a big transaction.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I don't know if things are operated the same way. I just know that doctors are so susceptible to being like what they did to you, pushing and pushing, and
it's crazy.
It takes a strong person to say no.
I would have probably been stronger if it wasn't the pandemic and I wasn't alone and the baby slept and I wasn't by myself.
It was burnout.
Yeah,
it's complete burnout.
Yeah, and I was in pain because I'd had my tubes removed at that time, and it was extra hard. And I just I gave in, and then I remember even going home with a little script, and a couple days in I took more than I should have. I was wicked sick, throwing up, and so I got rid of them because I was like, I don't even like this. This is awful. But then the postpartum came. Suicidal ideations, really, really scary because I knew that it wasn't real. I was like, wait, why do I want to die when I have everything? I have the home, the children, the man, the money, the car. I have everything I need right here. And I just still wanted to die. And what I realized through the process this time in my recovery is that, spiritual decay happens one compromise at a time. So I was compromising so much before I even got to this point that when the opportunity came for me to take a THC gummy, because it all started with a 1 milligram THC gummy, it was really easy for me to say yes. So what I mean by that is I compromised my morals and my beliefs in my relationship, right? I started, I always tell my clients this when, my relapse started with walking out of Stop and Shop with a 24 pack of Poland Spring water under my cart, forgetting to pay for it, realizing after I got the kids in the car, and then it was too much of an inconvenience to go back and pay for it, and I just said, I'll just get them back later, right? And so that's where that started. It's I compromised there, and then just slowly started to lie and get away with things, and then in my relationship,
manipulating the system.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just it became easier and easier, and even in my relationship, trying to become everything that person wanted me to be so that I could be loved and wanted, and all of these things I went against what I really believed. And so when I had postpartum really bad and I was suicidal and that gummy was offered to me, it was so easy to say absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And so I took that and it worked. And I wasn't suicidal anymore, and I felt good. And so for 3 years, I smoked a ton of weed. I got a medical card to convince myself I was no longer a drug addict, that I could totally do this. And then I started hanging out with people that were nurses. And so now I'm a high-class drug addict, right? Because I'm getting all the pills, and we're just switching stuff out, no one knows. Adderall, gabapentin, all that stuff. Eventually, what ended up happening is 3 years later, I woke up in a crack house in New Bedford with no recollection of how I got there. Right? That's where addiction brought me back after 5 years. I was like, how did I get here? It's so crazy. And so I basically, went back to treatment. I went to Adult and Teen Challenge. Very hard program. Definitely God did a lot of work in my heart there. And then I stayed there for 4 months, went to a sober house, did a PHP, IOP, ended up, going back to school at UMass Boston for my LADAC, right? And then...
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That. Yeah, that's cool. I did that because I was in a sober house and I thought I wasn't getting my kids back for a little while because the grandparents had them. I was like, I can totally do this. Within 8 months, the kids were back with me full time. So now, in school full time, working full time. Oh God, I can't believe I did all that. But, so I went from, living in the sober house to my godmother's house, and then, getting my own place. And, what I can say about this whole journey is that, without a relationship with God and belief in Him, I wouldn't have made it through all of this, and now I'm just I work at Waterside, Outreach Alumni Coordinator, and I love my job. I facilitate groups. It's awesome. And I just started a nonprofit. So
let's talk about that.
Yeah. So Recovering Moms Helping Moms started 7 years ago as a group. And we had childcare, and we had 2 different groups, a morning and a night group. And it was great. It was awesome. During the pandemic, it went to Zoom. I left and fell off, and the girls kept it going, and they kept the meeting going on Zoom, and that was their thing, like that helped them stay sober, which I didn't know until, recently. I was like, wow, like you guys kept that going. And so when I finished my schooling, I talked to Waterside about bringing that into the facility. And so we offer a mom's group on Fridays, 5:30 to 6 we have dinner for moms and kids, and then 6:15 to 7:30 we have the moms group. And it's at Waterside. And then I decided to turn it into a nonprofit because I want to be able to resources, bring help. I one day want to open a home for mothers and children. I know that's a big, huge project,
but it's doable.
It is, and my heart behind it is because I didn't have the resources with the daughter that I gave up, right? And if I just had the resources and I had the people, like maybe I could have not do that, And so, my hope with it is we're gonna just start off slow, be able to. We have the meeting. Right now we have 7 moms that are being helped for Thanksgiving meals and 10 moms for Christmas, working with, resources for recovery at my church.
Nice.
So we're already getting some, good resources for them. But the group is based on the 12 spiritual principles of recovery. Mm-hmm. So each month we go through a different spiritual principle with a different topic. So we're in honesty this month. And the topic that we had was being authentic, being real to who you are, and it was people pleasing and toxic relationships, right? So
that's my favorite topic. And I'm not even following the 12 steps, but that's my favorite topic.
Yeah,
because I'm a people pleaser. Mm-hmm. I'll do anything to make people happy.
Yeah, make you love me, make you all that. Yeah, and that's the most beautiful thing about the group is literally everyone shares, and it's me too.
It's relatable, even if you're not in recovery and following the steps. A lot of the principles are relatable.
And that's why it's the principles and not the steps. Yeah. Yes. And it's open to moms that, mental health, domestic violence, trauma, drug addiction. It doesn't have to be just drug addiction, right? And it's based on the 12 spiritual principles because if you apply those to your life, you're going to live a better life.
What was October's principle?
Courage.
Because it takes a lot of courage, and that is Domestic Violence Month.
Yeah. So wow. And that lined up.
Yeah.
And you know what it was? Trauma bonds. How to release them. And
see, that was perfect.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Something just clicked in my head. I was like, I wonder what.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, and we talked about what trauma bonds are, why we have them, where they come from, right? And I'll do a little education on it, right? And bring the educational piece. I do share a scripture at group, and I let moms know, listen, you don't have to believe what I believe. It's completely fine.
It's optional to believe in it.
Yep, absolutely. But I just share what's helped me, and then the moms are allowed. I always tell them if you have something like a quote or from a different religion, you want to bring that in and share it, you can. So it's just a really good intimate group where you can share about anything. No one's gonna judge you. I'm not calling anyone. I've been there, and I think that everything that I've been through as a mom and just in life. As much as it hurt and it was a struggle, without that I wouldn't have the empathy that I have. I wouldn't be able to relate to so many different people, and I wouldn't be able to love the way that I do.
Yeah.
Right? And so with all of that, I'm always I had a revelation the other day. I was unforgiveness is really hard sometimes, when I'm not forgiving people, and I was praying, I'm God, can you please help me forgive this person? Really, this is ridiculous. I remember hearing in my spirit, without all of those things, you wouldn't be who you are. So, without the betrayal, right? Without them doing those things to you and hurting you, you wouldn't be who you are today. You wouldn't be where you are. That made me into a better person.
Trauma makes us. Because a lot of times it can break us.
Right.
But it makes us, because we have to go through things to be able to educate and pass our knowledge on to others.
Absolutely. 100%. And it's as much as, I wish I didn't have that hard life that I have, it's such a beautiful thing. It really is.
You were able to take your experiences from a young age and instill them into women now that are struggling and might feel like there's no one that can relate to them, and you're able to.
Absolutely.
Once you get through the 12 steps, what do you plan on working with them on?
So we don't do the 12 steps because it's just the 12 spiritual principles because I want everyone to feel like they can come. They don't have to be, doing a certain program, whatever.
Gotcha.
You don't even have to identify as an alcoholic or drug addict. So one of the things that I'll do is hey, I'm Angelica. I'm recovering from alcoholism, drug addiction, trauma, sexual abuse. I say all the things I'm recovering from so that every woman in there can feel. Yeah. And so
It's inclusive.
It is all inclusive. And I think too, like, so the 12 spiritual principles for the year, right? Different topics. But then you can go back in. So I save everything that I do. I have all my material. And you can go back in next year and start again with different topics
Nice.
for the spiritual principles. So that's basically what I have right now, is just to keep going through them with different and see. Plus, at different parts in our life, something's going to mean something totally different. A different spiritual principle is going to mean something completely different depending on where we're at. So even if I continue to do that, it will still be different because, you know, faith in one season could be faith something totally different in another season, right? I also am I would love to incorporate a program for the teenagers and the children, right? So for the children, it's a lot easier because you can just do like, you know, well, whatever we're learning. So if it's courage for the month, we'll teach courage. How can you be courageous in school today, right? Like all those types of things. But with the teenagers, I would need, you know, people to come in and help with that. But I would love to get a group together for them.
Adolescent therapy is starting to become a huge thing. And I wish it was around when I was a kid.
Me too.
Because I went through a lot of shit myself. And there was one facility in Boston called the Boston Center. I have very, it's not vivid, but what's the opposite word when it's not vivid? Like bits and pieces.
Yes, yeah, the memory,
of memories of being there. And it wasn't the way things are now. It was very like, almost like a collaborative type of, you know, short collaborative at Chelsea was. Like, it was that type of like style situation. It wasn't that they were geared really towards working to make you feel better. Right. It was almost like you were there as a punishment.
Right.
And I remember hating the place.
Of course.
And I got sent there from the school and I hated it. Because I had anxiety, depression, didn't want to leave my family, I was overweight, got bullied, like did not want to be involved with school. And that was their bright idea. Let's ship her off to Boston to go to the Boston Center and she's going to go there and she's going to thrive. I hated it.
Yeah.
Didn't thrive. But now there's like programs all over Massachusetts that are built and geared towards adolescents and that they're able to help them thrive with a caseworker, with a therapist, different tools, groups. It wasn't like that when I was a kid. Right. There was nothing like that. Yeah. It was like you're going to sit in a room, we're all going to be together, everyone's complaining and miserable. It was agony. Yeah. Who's wailing on the next kid? Like it was torturous. Yeah. And I do remember like bits and pieces of going there. Yeah. And I remember for the longest time, because I was probably like 9, I made my mother stay there in the waiting room for me. And I was like, just stay here. I don't want to be here alone. That's how uncomfortable and weird it was. Now these places look like, you know, not, I don't want to say glamorous, but like welcoming and you want to be there and you feel comfortable and safe. Right. That's the type of place I would want to send my child or myself if I was younger, you know, looking back at it.
Absolutely. And then how does that, as an adult, when you have to go to therapy, you almost like don't even want to because it was such a bad experience.
I went this morning. I couldn't wait to go. Yeah. I missed yesterday because of what went on in the house. Yeah. I was able to get this morning. And I had so much to say that I was like, thank God you took me today because like I had to get this off my chest. Yeah. And it's so beautiful when you're older and it becomes a necessity. It's like you have to go to release what's bothering you so you can put it out into the universe and then whatever comes of it, comes of it. Right. Harboring it and holding it in, I notice it festers into a bigger problem. Yep. And it's just,
and it comes out in other ways.
Oh yeah.
You're flipping out about nothing that's not even what you're flipping out about. Yeah. It's something that's really deep going on inside. Yeah.
I agree.
Every therapist needs a therapist.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if mine has one, but after talking to me, she probably has one.
Yeah, we all, you know, I think we all struggle with mental health, and it's just some of us are more open with it and able to get the help, right? But like on some level, every one of us come from some type of dysfunction, right? Oh yeah. We all struggle.
As an adult, I went to a behavioral health PHP, and because I work in this industry, I felt uncomfortable because people outside were knowing that I was going. Right. And that made me uncomfortable because you're not supposed to know I'm there. Right. So I removed myself out of the situation. I was extremely grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me a chance. And like, I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of this. Yeah. But socially and mentally, to me, it wasn't acceptable because too much of my information that I was telling in group or saying to the caseworker that I thought was supposed to, you know, keep
it quiet
wasn't. And I just couldn't bring myself to go back. And nothing on the place itself or like the owners or anything, but like I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
One bad experience, it clams you up. And I knew, like, all right, if I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be like out of state virtually or something.
Yeah,
because
where no one knows me.
Everyone's got big mouths. I can't do it.
Literally.
I just can't.
Yeah.
Where do you see your nonprofit going to in the next year? What do you think your next steps are?
So, fundraising. I would love to have a space where I can have clothing and food and resources, recovery coaches for moms. I would love to build my own curriculum for that, like in getting them certified. So recovery coaches for moms, therapist referrals for mothers and children. Just building right now it's like for this couple of months I'm just concentrating on Thanksgiving and Christmas, but like going into the years and like a warm welcome event where I'm inviting multiple therapists and just like people in the area that have resources, right, that can be on my team. So if you are a therapist, let's put your name down for referrals, right? If you run a PHP IOP, let's get you on here for referrals. Resources, clothing. I have tons of clothing already for mothers and children right now, so I would love a place to be able to have that, right? And then food, and then my 5-year plan is like I want to open a home for mothers and children called Sheltered in the Storm, where weary hearts find rest and little ones find peace in His care. And that comes from my middle name means sheltered in the storm, which is wild because I was definitely sheltered in the storm.
What's your middle name?
Lee.
I love that.
Yeah, and my first name, Angelica, means God's messenger, which is wild. So I've hated my name my whole life because...
Why?
Because when I was younger, so my mom told me she named me after a prostitute in a movie. But apparently she said because she was beautiful, but all I heard was prostitute in a movie. So my whole life I hated my name. And then recently, the last couple of years, I Googled it to see what it meant because I was like, I wonder what this name means. And then I was like, oh, I kind of like it now because it means God's messenger, sheltered in the storm. And it's such a perfect name because I've been in a storm.
Because that's what you've gone through.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been sheltered.
Do you think she just told you that, or do you think she really knew the real meaning?
She didn't know the real meaning. No, you know what I think? I think... even though that was her reason for doing it, like God had a different reason, and ultimately He writes that. So I was like, thank you.
I like it. I think it's beautiful and it flows nicely.
Yeah.
With your whole name, I'm sure it looks nice when it's out,
Yeah.
Mine's Marie. I mean, how basic can we get? But
I love that. Yeah.
So I don't know what my name means. We'll have to look it up after.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm dying to know it.
Yeah. I always I put in like the biblical meaning just because that's my thing. But yeah, it's great.
So, at Waterside, are you only facilitating groups? What are you doing down there? Because I know you're very busy.
Yeah, no, so I've kind of taken on a lot of different roles over there. So we were just started when I got there. They had been open maybe 8 months or so. And I was doing I did my practicum there because I was hired as outreach and alumni coordinator, but I needed to do case management stuff for my practicum, so I got to do it there. So I was doing case management, events, and then facilitating groups. So I basically, right now, it is group facilitating. We've fully got a new case manager, so she's taken over all that, and outreach, so, going to all the events, making all that stuff, but I run 2-day groups, 2-night groups, and an afternoon once every other. So, a weekend. So, lots of groups. Love facilitating groups. And so when I got hired, it was all the roles. I did all the roles there. I loved it, getting to know everything too. But right now it's facilitating groups and outreach and alumni coordinator, which means, I meet with the alumni, get to know them, I reach out to them after I put together events and groups and everything that we can do together. So yeah, and then in my office, I have tons of resources. So I have a whole table of resources, and if anyone needs something, I'm always able to get that for them,
right. Do you feel that you're going to go back to school anytime soon?
Thought about it. I don't know, because I am a full-time mom, full-time work, now this nonprofit. Do I really need the schooling, or could I just hire everyone that has the degrees? Right? And
you would like to?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I'm in school for.
Yeah.
I haven't even started my hours.
Yeah, well, I'm
in for a surprise.
Yeah, I needed 6,000, but I have worked in treatment for...
I need 6,000 too.
Yeah.
I don't know how many I have.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't count.
Wow, yes. Yeah. So basically use my
That's
6 years of experience prior. If as long as it's like within 10 years, you can use that. So that was able to be added on to the hours that I put in here. So yeah, and I think just, I think honestly, my lived experience is worth way more than what's in a book. And
it is.
I have friends that have all the licenses and could be like, you know what, come, let's do this. You can come work for me. Someday I want to be able to have my own program.
Absolutely.
That has spiritual mentors and recovery coaches, and it's just being the CEO of something doesn't really, I'm not really feeling that. I like the one-on-one. So I don't know what that would look like, but just really want to love and encourage each mom where they're at and just give them hope that they can too overcome this.
Being a CEO, believe me, it's not always fun.
No, I don't even think I would want to do it.
I think I have bags under my eyes that can move a small apartment some days because I'm so stressed out of doing things.
Yeah.
But the bigger picture of being able to sit with someone and get deep down to the root of what the actual cause of the problem is so much more rewarding than seeing 3 letters next to someone's name.
Absolutely. 100%. And, at my job, I'm they're the girls that I work with, are you going to be a therapist now? I'm like, no, I don't want to do clinical because there's just too much boundaries that I don't
there's too much
want to keep. And I love being outreach so that I can meet up with people and be like, you want to get coffee? You want to talk? You need to go to a meeting? I can meet you there. I can just walk hand in hand with people. And that's what I want to do. I want that human connection. I don't want that rigid.
Walking alongside them, not ahead of them. Because
Exactly.
I feel in clinical, you're dragging them with you.
Yeah.
When you're not clinical,
yeah,
you can walk alongside them.
Yep.
You can hold their hand and guide them.
Absolutely.
Clinical, it's timelines and red tape and
documents.
Yeah.
Tons of documents.
I hate documents.
I'm almost at the group notes. I'm like, oh, are we done yet?
Group notes aren't too bad.
No, they're not. But when you become a therapist, it's group notes and biopsych socials, and I'm just I don't want to do it.
Biopsych socials are enough to make me throw up. I've seen them.
Yes.
Don't want to have to look at those again.
Yeah, it's a lot. So I love the position I'm in now. And then, I've worked for tons of facilities, and this one I can say that I stand by everything that they do and who they are as people, right? And what they believe in. Yeah,
they run an honest program.
A real honest. My boss cares about me and protects me and doesn't let me do certain things. He's like, no, you don't need to go there. I've got connections there, and I just think that's so cool. When he was training me, he's training me to for myself. It wasn't just training me for Waterside. He was training me to be able. Yeah, he's you need to make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
And and that way, and then I started to burn out, right? Because I work so much, and I always say yes, and I'm addicted to work, really. And he
that's a good outlet, though.
Yeah, it is. It's the best. And he took me aside, him and one of the BD, him and Alyssa, and they were just what do you do for you? And I was like, nothing. I'm I can't. From work, I go right to get my kids, and then it's on. Homework, dinner, bed, everything. And so Ryan was you need to leave on the 2 days that you do group and go to do whatever it is. So I like to go to the gym. So he's what is it that you like to do? I was I would love to go to the gym. So leave work at 1 and go to the gym before you get your kids. What boss does that?
No boss.
Right. And so he cares about...
Because time is money when it comes to employees.
Yeah.
And that's really generous and caring of him to give you that time.
Yeah.
To do something for you.
Yeah, and also knowing if you burn out, I don't have you. And he cared about me. And I was wow, and so I can stand behind everything that they do and how they treat the clients. And it's just so beautiful because I've worked in a ton of facilities where I had to leave. You know what I mean? I was I gotta go. A lot
of my beliefs don't line up with a lot of the programs that are out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of the behind the scenes that goes on.
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable to send somebody there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's behind the scenes, what's going on, And I've literally walked out of places and I can't do this anymore. It's not worth the paycheck, I just care too much about the clients. When I can't defend where I work and I'm on their team, it's a problem.
When I've worked somewhere and then the client leaves and then you're hearing the staff talk about the client, and then when the client's in front of their face, it's a little
totally
different. It gripes me because it's okay, yeah, granted, you might feel that way, but don't say it.
Right. Right.
And there's no boundaries.
Right. And people just, I don't know why, because a lot of us that work in the field are in recovery, and sometimes we just get to this point where we think we're better than, but we're actually not.
My father's favorite saying is everyone bleeds the same.
Yes.
Whatever race you are,
Yep.
nationality you are, everyone bleeds the same. Whether you're a CEO, a COO, manager, whatever, you're not better than the client. Because the client might be more smarter than you are.
Right. Right.
And have really more education than you do.
Right.
And you're here downing them. And that's like, I'm not going to say exactly where it was that I worked, but happened frequently.
Yep. Many places.
Horrible.
Yep.
And it was like, okay, if that's really how you feel,
why are you even in this field?
why are you doing it?
Right.
Why bother?
I don't understand any of it.
Go work. It's not a job.
Right. You want to hate people, go hate people there. Right? It's like, this is a job where like...
You can pack the groceries the wrong way. Like,
Yeah.
I don't really know what more you want to do. It's about right.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good 5-year plan. And I think with your education, you can definitely get it done. And you can hire whoever you need to get it done and not stress yourself out.
Yeah.
And being a boss is fun, but...
Yeah. I like the one-on-one.
I do too.
It's more rewarding and just... That's why I love doing group facilitating, because I get to hear their pain and their story and connect with them and just love them, right? I don't have to... with a clinical thing, it's just like there's so much that needs to be done in a certain amount of time that you don't even when you become a counselor, it's more document than anything else.
Oh, yeah.
You don't even have time to like really get to know that.
No, because the end of your session is carved out for your notes. And then if you don't get your notes done at the end of your session, you're locked in your office for a good 2 hours getting your notes done.
Exactly. So I stay right where I'm at.
I love it. Let the viewers and listeners know where they can find your nonprofit and where they can find you for resources.
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is recoveringmoms.org. And an email for me there would be angelicalee@recoveringmoms.com. And we have a Friday night meeting from 5:30 to 7:30 at 2 School Street in Plymouth. And one day I'm hoping to get multiple groups throughout Massachusetts, but that's where we're at right now.
I love it. This wraps up episode 19. Bye.